Hi, welcome to the Light Side Podcast. My name is Sholeh. I'm your host, and today we're talking about limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are the false stories that you tell yourself that hold you back. Brianna Weiss has a book called The Mountain Is You, and truly, the mountain is your limiting beliefs. But thankfully, neuroplasticity allows our brains to change and rewire the beliefs that we have by creating new neural pathways and really creating interruptions in the pathways that already exist, thereby allowing us to uproot and change beliefs that don't serve us, that hold us back and keep us in a stuck place. In today's episode, we're going to differentiate between negative beliefs versus negative thoughts, and then we're going to break down limiting beliefs and how to overcome them. And I'm going to share with you a few steps, tips, journal prompts. I'm excited to get into it. So what can be really tricky about limiting beliefs is that a lot of times there are blind spots. We don't realize they're there. We don't even realize they're there, that they're limiting us, or that they're deeply rooted in our subconscious and automatically playing in the background when we're about to maybe make a big decision, when we're about to speak out loud about something, when we're about to make a purchase. They are in the background of our minds and subconsciously lingering there. It's the command center of our brain, and it's what's telling us how to behave, what to do, how to react, how to really function in our day-to-day lives. It's such a powerful, powerful part of our existence. And so that's why it's juicy to get into it. I'm really, really excited. Here's a super concise reason as to why you should want to overcome your limiting beliefs. And Carl Jung really said it best. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. We really touched on this in last week's episode when we were talking about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, because at the core, negative beliefs have the most detrimental impact on us. They are self-sabotaging in the sense that it controls our lives. Our beliefs determine the actions we take. So we've talked about this just as a reminder if you have heard the prior episodes, but if you haven't, remember your beliefs determine the actions you take. So imagine if you have a belief that I am too late at changing my career, I'm too late at getting into a new relationship or starting a relationship, I'm too late, insert whatever it is that you want to do, but you feel like you're too late for. I'm too late to move to a new city. I'm too late to take these classes. I'm too late to start, insert whatever hobby activity. I'm too late to start golfing. I'm too late to start dancing. I'm too late to move to Las Vegas. I'm too late to, I don't know, I'm just making it up. But if you have these beliefs, will you take action? Definitely not. I think there's also another false limiting belief that if I think something really negative, that will motivate me, that will push me. And that is not true. I totally appreciate the concept of reverse psychology. It's more so like external. It usually involves two people, and it's just like an interaction where the other person tries to influence your behavior. It's external motivation. You have something to prove. Whereas when we speak negatively to ourselves, we deteriorate our self-esteem, our self-worth, we undermine ourselves, we create a lot of doubt within ourselves, and there is no other person to counteract or counterbalance that with. And it creates this really negative, toxic cycle of negativity within you, where negative thoughts cause negative feelings and they reinforce more of that. And it's just like this perpetual cycle that just doesn't end and it's hard to break, unlike reverse psychology, which is really aiming to break a cycle by introducing an external contradiction. It's like, whereas it's coming from within you, there is no like other person. You're telling yourself these negative things that go unchallenged, that really leads your mind to accept it rather than resist it and prove it wrong. It's you versus you is the best way that I feel like I can express that. Another example is if you believe a certain path isn't possible for you. Not only does that limiting belief stop you from taking action, from experiencing something that could really expand your life, your level of joy, maybe the people that are in your life, maybe you'll meet the love of your life through that experience. Maybe you'll meet friends that will change your career. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but it also causes depression and stress and impacts your overall health. Really, limiting beliefs are deteriorating in so many ways. And because your mind created your limiting beliefs, it's hard to work on them and changing them with the same mind that created the beliefs and made you feel safe with them. And this is why working on your own limiting beliefs can be challenging to spot. Working with a mindset coach can be so crucial and transformative in identifying blind spots, deeply rooted limiting beliefs, and overcoming them and really rewiring them so that they don't impact you anymore. So we've established why it's important for us to address our limiting beliefs. If you'd like a deeper dive into that, I suggest listening to the last 2 episodes. We talked a lot about why it's important for our mindset to be sharp, to be positive, and to really have thoughts that serve us, that empower us versus ones that hold us back. I think this is a great segue for us to differentiate between negative thoughts and our inner dialogue that we did 2 episodes ago and negative beliefs or limiting beliefs. So the best way to think about it is beliefs are deeply rooted and typically stem from childhood. They're very much ingrained into our mind and take a lot more effort to change, whereas thoughts are more fleeting. But here's the thing. The repetition of thoughts will create deep-rooted beliefs, and they are super interconnected, and that's why I wanted to differentiate them. And so I'm going to share some examples of limiting beliefs versus negative thoughts. A limiting belief is when people feel that others are inherently untrustworthy. Like, I cannot trust people in general, point blank. I am untrustworthy. I am a failure. I can never get anything right. I will always be poor. Money doesn't come easily to people like me. These are usually very deep rooted beliefs that have come from sometimes childhood. It can come from experiences. It can come from people showing that to you or people just instilling that belief within you without digressing into the philosophy of that. Whereas negative thoughts are a bit more like, that won't work, or no one likes me. That thought can change, right? Sometimes you might be around people like your family are like, oh, they love me. And then you might be around other people and think, they don't like me. And, kind of like other examples are, I'm socially awkward. Or if I was this, then that. If I was prettier, then I would get this. Negative beliefs can largely influence our emotional well-being. We've talked about this in terms of depression, chronic stress, and other illnesses that come with those two. And a lot of times they are formed early in life and can be more challenging to change. And I work with clients using EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. It helps us release the emotional triggers that are attached to certain beliefs and memories that have created those beliefs and change and rewire how we view and shift our perspective to one that serves us. And so super powerful, super impactful, and because everything in our lives is very much connected, and when we make these limiting beliefs conscious and we start to work on them and we start to face them and we begin to defeat them, then our lives change dramatically because we're no longer controlled by these thoughts that don't hold as much impact. They don't have as much emotion attached to them. They don't trigger us. And so when you're not triggered, you're more likely to respond versus react, and you're more likely to respond from a place of rationale and logic, allowing you to take action that serves you with beliefs that empower you. And given that we have thousands of thoughts that run through our mind every single day, and tons of them tend to be subconscious and on autopilot, it just proves even more as to why it's so important for us to be deliberate in noticing, in having awareness of the thoughts that we have to make sure that they're thoughts that are serving us, that are allowing us to show up, that are allowing us to be our best self, because truly it's hard to show up as your best, most bold, most confident self if the thoughts in your head are telling you words like, I'm such a mess, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I could never do that, I'm so clumsy, right? The list goes on, but it's just really hard to do that when you have 12 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative and 96% are repetitive. They're the same thoughts as the day prior, and this research comes from the National Science Foundation. But it's so good to know this stats, to know this detail. For one, you're not alone. And two, recent research and so much science and psychology proves that we can fundamentally change, uproot, and uplift the thoughts that don't serve us by facing them, by being really logical about them, by not being afraid that they're there. Whereas once we face it, we accept it, and we can reframe it and change it and change the impact it has on us. And we're going to talk about all the steps to do just that. I saw an article and I loved how it described beliefs versus thoughts. And the way they said it was that beliefs are the roots of the tree, and our thoughts are the branches and leaves of the tree. So your thoughts really come from your beliefs. And so that's why it's so important to work on our limiting beliefs. And our negative thoughts can be a dead giveaway that at the root, we have a more subconscious, a bigger, a more deep-rooted belief that we need to shift, that we need to work on so that we can have better serving thoughts. That's why I also mentioned earlier in the episode when we were differentiating that repeat thoughts can also create limiting beliefs that are more substantial. A way to think about it is, if you're familiar with like farming or gardening, you know that fruit trees, when a seed of a tree falls onto the earth, it can create another tree, right, of that same fruit. And so I think it's called propagation. If I'm not mistaken. I don't know the correct term, so let me know if you know it, if I'm butchering it. But ultimately, your repeat negative self-talk and negative thoughts can create deep-rooted beliefs. And in the episode where we talked about negative self-talk, we touched on how really at the root, first step of any change is awareness, becoming aware that we have a negative self-talk, or a belief in this case that we want to rewire and change, requires awareness. We need to be aware that we have that subconscious belief that we need to shift and change so that it no longer holds us back. The thing about limiting beliefs or negative self-talk is when we try to think about them, we can really get into a deep spiral. Becoming aware of our limiting beliefs, of our inner dialogue through awareness, through meditation, allows us to confront them. Because to me, in my mind, it's not about solving the thought. And that's why I really suggest working with a coach that can help you get out of the spiral. But it's more so about confronting the thought. Because by confronting the thought, we can, one, set our expectation that this limiting belief may come up again, but I know it's not true, and so I can brush it off. I know it's not true, so I can choose a different thought, so I can replace it with a better serving thought. One of the biggest things you learn studying psychology is that you can't believe every thought that your mind tells you. And I mean, all of these episodes are proof of that, right? And we talk about this so much for a reason, because it's so prevalent. Really understanding, what story am I telling myself? Is there any fact or evidence to this story? Challenging the belief, is it true? Is there concrete evidence? Is it an exaggeration? Is it something that someone else has taught me through their experience? Is it that I'm trying to keep myself comfortable and safe? Because some limiting beliefs can almost feel like an excuse, right? If you're always like saying terrible with math, right? It's like you excuse yourself from getting better. Or it's like, oh, I'm really bad at soccer. It's like, so that you can avoid playing the next time, right? It's like, that's where our fixed mindset conversation really comes into play from last week. Like, Most people who are really excellent at anything, even professional athletes, they're not leaning into inherent talent. They're leaning into a lot of practice. They're leaning into trying something again and again until they become the professional level, they gain the proficiency that they have. And so, number one, identifying the belief, really challenging it. Do I have actual evidence? Being super honest with yourself around, where did I learn this? Is this exaggeration? Is it an excuse? And then reframing it, replacing their limiting beliefs with empowering ones. And that's where positive affirmations can come into play. And we'll dive into that. But before we do, I want you to consider another method of becoming aware of your limiting beliefs, and that's journaling. So, you guys, I know I talk about mindfulness, meditation, and journaling a lot, but I promise you it's because that's the secret sauce, right? Like all the answers we're looking for are within us. It's about, are we creating the space? Are we creating the medium for those thoughts to present themselves to us? Are we creating the connection to receive the information that we need from our higher self, from our inner wisdom to guide us, to lead us to where we need to go? And so what you can do is tap into your mind, tap into what your ego, what your false self, as some spiritual writings call it, what your subconscious thoughts are telling you through doing some journaling prompts. So grab a pen and paper or notes app, kind of fill in the blank prompts. People view me as fill in the blank. Write down everything that comes up for you. So people view me as ambitious. People view me as lazy. People view me as a goal-getter. People view me as tenacious. People view me as, but write down the beliefs that come up for you. Write down everything that you think people view you as and what your perception is, write as much as you can, because this is where you begin to access your subconscious mind even more, because you're allowing your first thoughts to come on paper and to reveal to you if there is something deeper. So for instance, you can use money. Like money is blank. Money is evil. Money is good for me. Money is a vehicle for living my life effortlessly. Or is money hard? Money is hard to come by. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is, fill in the blank, right? Write down what those beliefs that you have about money are, what's coming up. You can do this in many categories. You can do it for your relationships, right? Ask yourself the fill in the blank here. Relationships are blank. Relationships are fun. Relationships are hard. Relationships are easy. Relationships don't last. Relationships are, what are relationships to you? Fill in the blank. Allow yourself, honestly, you can do this in any area of your life, right? Like work is mandatory. Work sucks. Work is never fun. Work is boring. Work is hard. A lot of times our limiting beliefs are really rooted in these one word fill in the blanks that you can access. Allow your subconscious to jot down as much as you can, and maybe push yourself to have at least 10 answers. I think that's really important, like pushing yourself to dig deeper, because a lot of times what happens is you don't access the subconscious because the surface level thoughts come up. But the more you dig, the more you force yourself to ask again, more thoughts will come to the surface. And then it's about really taking those beliefs and asking, did someone exemplify to me that money is evil? Did someone show me that relationships don't last? Or is it my own experience? Is it true? Is it an exaggeration? Was it just that relationship didn't last, but I have evidence of millions of other relationships? Millions is maybe an exaggeration on my part, sorry. But my point being, maybe you know people who have relationships that are lasting and have been going for many years. But even if you don't, you can find them online, right? And then you write down what you want, your beliefs about those things that we just did those fill in the blanks for. Write down what you would like the truth to be. Write down what you want your experience, your relationship with that fill in the blank. Like life is fill in the blank. Relationships are fill in the blank. Work is fill in the blank. Money is fill in the blank. And write it down, write at least 10 things. And really from there, make sure that you break down the negative thoughts, the negative beliefs that come with it, and then rewrite the new truth that you want to have about that topic. We all have limiting beliefs, and we all have like deeply rooted childhood programmed conditioning thoughts and beliefs. And if we don't actively work on, tend to control our lives, challenge those beliefs and get to journaling. I think the journaling is so powerful. I think I may have talked about morning pages before in another episode, but this is also another great way of accessing your subconscious mind is first thing in the morning when you wake up, before you do anything else, having a journal by your bed and writing down everything that comes to your mind and pushing yourself to write at least 3 pages. This exercise is really juicy because it shows to you, first of all, what's on your mind first thing in the morning when you wake up, which is really a lot of inner wisdom, higher consciousness, subconscious. It is coming to the surface and really it sheds light to a lot of things. It helps you kind of become your own therapist in a way. But again, I think that unless you've been doing this work for many, many years, I really suggest working with someone. And truly, because, as a coach, I have a coach and I've had one for the last 2 years. Even prior to that, I had mentors and I worked with a therapist. I think it's just important to do this. Everyone has different preferences, right? But having a coach accelerates your process so much. I hope that those journal prompts helped. Let me know if you have questions. Feel free to DM me if there is a specific area of life that you want to dig into your limiting beliefs. I'm happy to work with you through these and replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. And that's where positive affirmations come into play. And there is an effective way of saying affirmations. I know there can be a lot of content on social media downplaying affirmations, but if they're done accurately, affirmations can create new neural pathways in your brain, and they are highly effective. They have been proven to, and honestly, they help me so much every single day, and they're a big part of what I do. And so I also share affirmations on my story pretty much every day on Instagram or most days. And so follow me there if you don't already, to see empowering affirmations on your feed every day or within the Joy Cup community. So for anyone that's not familiar, let's do a little affirmations 101. They are present tense positive statements that we create to reframe a negative thought or belief. It's very crucial that the positive affirmation feels genuine. The more specific, the more sincere, the better. They're not just feel-good phrases. Of course, they can be, but if you don't charge the affirmation with feelings, then they're not as effective. When we use affirmations consistently and accurately, we can really shape our brain's neural pathways, and really visualization comes into play here, where visualization can also really empower and energize the affirmation. But I want to share with you some ways of writing affirmations that are effective. So, having it in mind that your affirmations should start with I am, I have, basically statements that are like you are embodying, kind of like I am deserving of love and success and happiness. Okay, I know that sounds generic, and so we'll get more specific. And I'm always happy to help you create your affirmations. Just, again, reach out to me. I just thought that it'd be a good idea to also share with you some affirmations that are done wrong. And then I can share with you how we can transform some limiting beliefs into positive affirmations that will serve us, that will help us reframe and build new neural pathways. So an example of an affirmation done wrong is, I will not be sad today. So notice that we're reinforcing the feeling of sadness in that statement. Like, the universe doesn't know I will not. The energy, the emphasis is on the emotion that we're talking about, what we want to avoid. as a rule of thumb, is not focusing on a negative outcome, because that's not affirming what you want to happen. It's basically affirming what you don't want to happen, which again, you're focusing on that negative outcome. And so it's like, I will not fail. It's better to say I will succeed, not I will not fail. Or I will be content today. I will be happier today. I will be, again, we want to emphasize what we do want, not what we don't want with the word I will not. So the other thing is like, bad things won't happen to me. Another example is like, bad things won't happen to me. Again, the emphasis is on bad. How about good things will happen to me? Today will be filled with good surprises, with good news. I don't know. To give you some examples of specific affirmations that can help you reframe negative beliefs is, I can never get anything right is a negative belief. And we can reframe that to, mistakes are stepping stones. I'm getting better every time. I'm capable of success. I get better with every attempt. Mistakes are natural and they help me become better at what I do. Those are some alternative, specific, positive affirmations. Replacing I am a failure with, every setback is a setup for a comeback. I am resilient. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm a failure, thinking I'm resilient. I can handle whatever comes to me because I know I will come back. Every setback is a stepping stone, even if I don't see it yet. I learn and grow from every experience. Or I'm a failure to, I'm not failing, I'm being redirected. I am falling into more alignment. I'm aligning more and more daily. Instead of saying, if I was prettier, I would get that, you could say, my value comes from within me. My worth is inherent and it comes from within me. I'm attractive and worthy in my unique way. So like, again, you're changing these words that aren't serving you, like making you feel down on yourself, with believing the truth of your being, which is you are worthy as you are. Or the negative belief that this won't work. Instead of saying this won't work, saying I trust my abilities to make things happen and I learn from it as I go. I trust myself to make things happen and work for me and learn from it as I go. Every effort I make gets me closer to my goals. Every time I fail, I get closer, I get better. Changing I'm not good enough with I'm worthy, I'm capable, I bring value, I have strength and resilience, I can overcome anything. And especially the money mindset beliefs, like money doesn't come easily to people like me, or, money is bad. I'm a magnet for abundance. I attract wealth naturally and easily. Wealth is a natural outcome for my efforts and mindset. The universe has my back. I'm worthy of love and respect. I'm enough as I am. I'm whole as I am. I'm loved as I am. I choose to see the good in others. I choose to see the good in myself. I choose to see the good in this situation. I choose to trust that there's more to unfold. I choose to trust that it's all happening for me. These words that we say to ourselves, they shift our energy. Instead of imagine if you're constantly repeating to yourself that I'm a failure, I suck at everything, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this, I'm not good enough for this. One of the biggest things you can do for yourself is accepting compliments. When people say, you look beautiful or you did such a great job, instead of making excuses as to why you could have done better or by how humble you are, just say thank you and accept it. That's the universe's way of encouraging you, of complimenting you, because you deserve it and you deserve to accept it. Compliments don't come about every second, right? They don't come about all the time. And so when they do, you want to accept it with open arms, reinforcing that you're ready to receive more of the same and reinforcing your mind that you can show up more of the same. There's more where that came from. If you have a hard time coming up with a positive affirmation for a limiting belief, maybe what you can do is using I'm grateful as a way to form a positive affirmation. I am grateful. So for instance, if it's like, I always fail, saying, I'm grateful that I get to try again. I'm grateful that I have this opportunity. I'm grateful that I get to do this. I get to show up. I get to have a job. I get to make money. There is an app called ThinkUp, and what the app does is allows you to repeat affirmations out loud. You record yourself. I believe it is paid. You can choose monthly or yearly, but through the app, you can record yourself speaking affirmations that you can listen to morning and night. And these affirmations can do magic in rewiring your subconscious mind. Listening to them first thing in the morning is super energizing. I love going on a run in the morning, listening to my affirmations. It's in your voice, so it really allows your mind, it tricks your mind into believing it even faster. Kaylee Hoffman-Smith is who introduced me to this, and when we're listening to positive affirmations, the goal is to have these messages reach our subconscious mind faster. Your mind is more open to suggestions due to the decreased activity of the conscious mind. So it helps for us to listen to the affirmations while we're sleeping to ingrain it within our mind more and more so. Like, this is one of the first things I started when I started this inner growth journey that I'm on, and listening to the affirmations really uplifted my energy and my mood. And so I highly suggest it. It's a really effective way for these affirmations to effectively absorb into our mind. Quickly break this down. While you're falling asleep, your brain goes through different stages, different frequencies. So it starts with beta waves, and that's when you're fully awake. You're like active, alert, you're thinking, you can be problem solving, you can be, actively concentrating. Alpha state is when you're in the relaxation mode. Like, that's when you're unwinding. This is when, you're just in a more relaxed, meditative, reflective state. Theta waves is when you're about to fall asleep. When you're in deep sleep, you're in the delta state. And that's when you're in deep, healing, nourishing rest and least responsive to the world. So of the various brain frequencies that your mind goes through when you're falling asleep, the one that's most fitted and suited for affirmations is the theta state. Because while we're in the theta state, we're still in light sleep. And so this is the state where our mind is able to tap into our memory, that juicy space between being awake / being conscious versus a little unconscious. So it's a powerful time for the brain to take in this information because it's still receptive to suggestions, because we're not as conscious, but we're still conscious enough to observe information that's coming in. And so really playing affirmations as you get into bed, as you're starting to relax, the affirmation can continue as you drift off to sleep and lasts about 20 to 30 minutes, up to an hour. Really, I think it's usually sufficient to do up to an hour or like half an hour, because that's usually the period that your brain is in the theta state while you're falling asleep. I don't think you need it for the entire night while your brain is transitioning to the deeper stages of sleep. So it's a great way to rewire your thoughts. And I use this app every night and every morning, and it made such a massive difference to help uplift my energy. There are affirmations that you can use within the app, and it's super easy to record your affirmations and just press play, and you have timers, they have background music. Super relaxing. This is not sponsored, but I highly suggest it. Or I also have a recording of affirmations on my YouTube as a video. So if you don't want to invest in the app, you can play my affirmations video that I have on YouTube and listen to them. They're a wide variety, but there is just a level of effectiveness that comes from hearing your own voice. Remember, the affirmations should be positive and present tense and be realistic and meaningful. They're beliefs that you want to reinforce into your life. There's tools available to you. There are ways to really help you help yourself. A lot of times we stand in our own way, kind of like as I started at the start of the episode, right? Like the mountain is our limiting belief. And until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. You will think that that's just not meant for you. But by embodying a growth mindset, by believing that you can, through your effort, through your tenacity, through showing up, through your mindset, believing, having the rigor, then you get better. Like this is with anything, right? Like my first Instagram reels, they're so different, and by practice I've gotten better. But had I stopped because they weren't good enough, then I would never have developed into the skills that I have now. It's just allow yourself to have a growth mindset, because that is reality. You're not being unreasonably optimistic. You're not being unrealistic. It is realistic to believe that things get better. If you don't meditate already, I highly suggest at least sitting down and either just looking straight ahead. You don't even have to close your eyes, but if you can, just start to focus on your breath. Start counting your breath. Count to 5, inhale, hold, and exhale. This is called triangular breath. And this is a great way to get your mind into a quiet state, and then try meditating to see what comes up for you. The more aware you become, the more you're able to create a more resilient mindset. And meditation and mindfulness just pay off in so many different ways, such as, calming your nervous system, dealing with anxiety, sleeping better, improving your breathing, improving your speech, improving so many different things in our lives. So it's just a good practice to do in general. If you'd like to work with someone on your limiting beliefs, reach out to me. I can share information with you on my packages and what I have available in terms of my coaching and what you will get if you sign up for my programs. And another way to create that awareness is using the journal prompts I shared. Fill in the blanks, write as much as you can, but really push yourself to have at least 10 answers for each fill in the blank that we talked about. What's a new truth that you would rather believe? What's a different way that you can think about this that will serve you? What is a different way? If you were teaching this, if you were saying this to a younger child, someone you love, maybe it's a friend that is super close to you, pretend that you're talking to them. What alternative perspective would you offer them? Write down the affirmations as we talked about, writing them into really positive statements. Really, really powerful. So I hope this episode served you. Please let me know if you have any questions, any thoughts. Feel free to reach out to me for any reasons. If you want to even just say hi, introduce yourself. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, follow, share it with your friends, family. It means so much to me. That is the biggest compliment. Sending you tons of love. Until next week, take care. Thank you.